Okay, it's 6 p.m., February 4th, 2025. Call to order the City of Ripon Police Commission meeting. I'd ask to call the roll call order, please.
John?
Here.
Kevin? Aye. Arlo? Here. Steve?
Present.
Chief Wallner? And Vince? Present.
That's a full agenda. The next thing would be to go through the approval of minutes for the March 21st meeting 2024, which we've had in our packet to look at.
Are you okay, Riley? Or?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on when I was making sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Motion's been made.
I'll second,
There's a second.
if I can.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote on the approval of the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Third item is citizen input. Seeing none, we'll go to the fourth item, which is Chief Wallner's update from the department.
Yeah, so just wanted to talk to you about a couple things since we worked together last. Kind of give you an update. I did provide you with a copy of the annual report. So this just went out. I think you folks are the first ones to have it in your hand, actually. So the council will have it in their packets going out for their meeting next week. But kind of a revision, or if you remember our annual reports in the past, we've kind of upgraded here on what we're presenting to you and how the format. So thank you to Sergeant Tipton for her work on this as well. She did a nice job with it. So as you look through it, obviously remember this is the 2024 annual report, so it encapsulates or encompasses our activity from 2024. So right away you'll notice some things. K9 Roney is on here, talked about, and so he is no longer with our department. He has retired. There's also Sergeant Borkenhagen is in here. He is no longer with the department, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But just take an opportunity, if you would, and just go through that at your leisure after the meeting. And if you've got any questions about anything, certainly reach out. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you've got. Okay? You come on in, Brandon, if you want. So we continue to be busy. 2024, we had responded to about over 13,000 calls for service, which averages to about 36 calls per day on our radio dispatch center. So obviously busy. You'll see we have a big section on community outreach, so that continues for us, and there's quite a bit of information in there and photos and stuff that we're involved with as well. But yeah, just kind of a summary of some of our activity for the year. So if you've got any questions, certainly get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you've got about that. Okay. Some of the other activity, just since we got together the last time, so obviously school has begun again this last fall, and our SROs have been very busy with schools since the beginning of the fall. We've had some major cases involving them. Major case with a school coaching personnel and staff member. That's a pending case that's pending for us in the court system. But very busy. I don't know how we ever did it with one SRO with the amount of work that they're currently doing in the schools. It's been kind of a crazy fall for them in the schools. So keeping up on that and making sure they get what they need to as far as help with whatever they need to tackle there. So, but they're doing great work, both of them. Obviously, the winter season for us, a lot of events around the Dickens Christmas events in the city that seems to be getting larger, especially with the addition of the Christmas parade. Has gotten bigger and bigger every year. So that gets larger and just requires more effort on our part with personnel just to manage that event for that evening, and then the living windows as well. So continue to work closely with the chamber on that, with follow-up meetings, evaluations on what needs to be addressed for the following year. And we've had those meetings already and addressed some things, and so, but that continues to be a busy weekend for us as well, or busy week. Some of the other holiday events that we're involved with around that same time, obviously our Shop with Emergency Personnel, our Shop with a Cop program continues to be very active, and Lindsay Michaels does a great job in organizing that. This year we also added in, we did a ham handout with Hy-Vee one day out there on a Saturday. Handed out, I think, 200 hams to families in the community, and then bell ringing for the Salvation Army and that kind of stuff. We also had some movement and pleas and convictions on our defendants for a reckless homicide case. That would be from the 2023 case where we arrested 5 defendants for overdose, heroin overdose, fentanyl overdose. So all of those parties basically have pled into charges with that, pled guilty or no contest, so no trials in any of those defendants, which I think says a lot about the quality of the investigation. So they're pleading to some significant charges there, and we're already seeing some sentences coming down, ranging from 7 to 10 years in for some of those defendants, and extended supervision for many years after that. So, we've talked about that in the past, and that investigation was well done, and now we're seeing the fruits of that with the convictions that we're getting and the pleas on those. So, as far as training, all of our officers recently attended the Fond du Lac County In-Service, Law Enforcement In-Service, which is sponsored by the law enforcement executives for the county. So this year our topics included things like railroad investigations, so investigations involving railroads, violations there. We had a legal update, and then we had a drug update from the MEG unit as well. November, we did some firearms in our low light conditions. So we always try to have at least one night shoot, low light condition night shoot during the year for our training. That's very important. So we usually have that in November. And then we've had specialized training for our officers, A-RIDE, which is advanced roadside impairment drug evaluation enforcement for drugs and drug driving enforcement. So we had officers attend that. We had an officer attend ICAC training, Internet Crimes Against Children, to be involved with that. So those specialized training continues for some personnel within the department. So as we get towards the end of the year, that training sometimes drops off because we've accomplished so much training during the year. We've gotten a lot in, so but we were able to get a couple of things here in the fall. As far as personnel, one of the reasons we're here tonight is to speak with candidates for a hiring of position or police officer candidate. So that's a result of Sergeant Travis Borkenhagen had submitted a resignation in the department, and he left us in January. He actually took a position with Wisconsin Department of Revenue as a special agent. So he's moved on from us, and he actually was in town this past week doing some work here for them. So we still continue to have good contact with him, and have a resource in that area. So we conducted our hiring process, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. That proceeded well. Officer Cole Burdick, you remember he was our last hire. He has completed his field training, so he has begun his on-duty time by himself and is doing very well. Worked through the field training and didn't have any issues, and he's doing very well for himself. So continue to do training, continue to do monthly evaluations. Even though he's on his own, we continue to do monthly evaluations for the next year until he's done with his probationary period. So, as we said before, K9 Roney retired in November. He was with us for, I believe, about 9.5 years. With that also marked the end of Trevor Henke's term as a K9 handler. He had handled all 3 of our previous dogs, so he has been a K9 handler with the department for about 23.5 years. So big kudos to him, big compliments to him for what he's done for the program and the extra work that he's had to put in for 23.5 years as a K9 officer. So, And then if you remember, we did a fundraising project as a result of that retirement or pending retirement, and have a new dog. So Officer Howell will introduce you to him in just a few minutes here. But Canine Black has started with the department, was just sworn in this week, and has begun his duty with us as a full-fledged officer with our department. So it's kind of like a high-level highlights of what's been going on since we last got together. Some of the highlights there, and obviously you'll read some more things in the annual report, but certainly if you have any questions, I can entertain those. Or anything? Okay. So yeah, that's kind of an update from me. Everything continues to go well, and you know, got good people, they do good work, so I'm very happy with what's going on. Okay,
Excellent, thank you.
cool. I'm gonna give you that, Vince, for your notes if you want.
Perfect, thank you.
So yeah, if you wanna move on to item number 5, which would be an update from the K-9, so I invited Officer Howell to be with us tonight. So Officer Howell can kind of explain to you what he's been doing for the last couple months, and he can introduce you to Canine Black and tell you everything you can about the program here and where we're at with the new dog.
So this is Canine Black. He's a 1.5 years old, so he's still a puppy. A lot of new things for him. He's used to just the training world, really. So we've been doing a lot of socialization, trying to get him used. You know, you'll see, you know, you roll around in your chair or something, he might jump a little. It's just something that he's never seen before. He'll get more tolerant with that kind of things. So we were at a 6-week training in Pennsylvania. We went through Shallow Creek Kennel. Prior to the training, I went out and picked out Canine Black. So I chose from like 6 different dogs there that they pulled aside. And he seemed like a good fit for our department because I kind of noticed that when he was doing like some of the activities that they had us do, he was very driven, and then once he was done, he was kind of like, oh, hey, what's up, you know, so he was more relaxed. And versus some of the dogs, they're just all over the place, you know, not social, not really pettable by the community and things like that. That's not really what we were looking for. So we got very fortunate with Canine Black. He's
How
a
do you
great
pronounce
dog.
it?
Black.
Black?
Black.
Black.
B-L-E-C-K?
B-L-E-K. Black. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's from Slovakia. The owner that owns Shallow Creek purchased him in Holland. So that's kind of where they did their work through. So, but Black here.
And what is he trained in?
Yep, so he's narcotics, and so we decided to go not do marijuana just because some of the states, they fully wrote off their dogs that are trained on marijuana because when it legalized, they're like, yep, we're not gonna have these dogs anymore because they don't want them.
Leave it. Sita.
So they got rid of them, and obviously it's a big cost for us in our community, so we don't want to come across that in the future, just the way things are going. You know, who knows, 2 years down the road, it could be legalized here, and so.
Yeah, we had quite a conversation about that before Brandon went out there, because, you know, it's the views on marijuana are ever changing, you know, and that could change tomorrow in the state, you just never know, so it's difficult if you train a dog on that to get him off from that, versus right now he's not trained in that, so if we want to go that route, we can do that later. Going backwards is much more difficult than going the other way, so we decided, you know, we kind of got together and had lengthy conversations about it, about if we wanted to do that, and so we decided against the marijuana identification, but
Yep.
the drugs that you had mentioned.
Yeah, so meth, coke, and heroin is what he is. Obviously, like, fentanyl is in a lot of things, but fentanyl is also a legal drug, so that's not something you train the dog on. But So some of their derivatives and stuff he'll also alert on. But and then he's also trained in like building searches, area searches. He does bite work or man work. So pretty much anything you could think of. We can do articles too, like, so let's say someone threw a gun, or, you know, we're looking for a kid and they had their backpack on, and, you know, we're trying to find the backpack or whatever, then we could use them potentially for that too, so. Yeah, he's very social. I don't know why he growled, but I haven't really heard him do that much.
That was directed towards the chief.
Yeah, I know. I think he was in a staring contest. He was like, okay, well, we're not gonna do that. No, yeah, he's been a pretty good dog, but.
Is there still a program where we share services with other departments and go back and forth with?
Yeah, so they can request us at any time. So like if another department asks us for help on something, like with a dog, we could do that for sure. It just kind of depends, you know, there's some nights that the county doesn't have a single canine on. And then if we're on, you know, they could request us to 41 if they wanted to or whatever.
Is it a gentleman's agreement on how to reciprocate?
Pretty much, yeah. So a lot of times what we try to do, it used to be where if you needed a dog, you'd have to call them at home and get them out. Well, kind of now what it is if there's a dog on in the county, you know, and you need a dog, we can call each other. So there may be nights where Brandon's the only dog that's on. So the county may call and ask for our dog, and then if we have a night where Brandon's not working, we would call, you know, the county and say, hey, can you bring a dog over?
And we've used Green Lake multiple times as
Yeah.
well. I probably personally have used them like 3 times, and have them calling their dog, you know, just in the last couple of years at least, so. There's
Yep.
many instances that well, probably even more than that, we've used them to search for people at least 2 times, and then I can think of 3 narcotics searches, so.
Is the funding in place? Is it adequate?
Yeah, we should be good right now, you know, pending any major issues, but yeah, you know, it's nice that, you know, it should be sustainable for us, and then we continue to get in donations, so that'll continue. We'll still do fundraising things, so we'll do our annual brat fries and any other fundraising things that we can come across, but that fundraising is a part of Brandon's responsibility too, as the handler, is to work on that, but yeah, we still get, you know, people love the program. It's always been one of our more popular programs. Even when we didn't have the dog, people were always asking us, when are you gonna get the dog back, when are you gonna get the dog back? So people are willing to help with that, and it's all funded through donations, so very little of it comes from my budget, police department budget. The majority of the costs associated with the program are through that donation, that fundraising effort that we did, so, yeah.
So there's an annual amount that you need to keep that
No,
going?
it kind of varies. So we've got our major expenses done now.
Okay.
So we had to replace our canine car because our car was old. It was the oldest one we had. We had that, I think, for 12 years, I want to say. So we needed to get rid of that. Purchase of the dog and the training. And then equipment. Quite frankly, the dog is pretty much the cheapest part. When it comes to that, a lot of people don't realize that, and they're expensive, you know, the training and the dog is gonna run you about $16,000. But where you start to get into the big money is the equipment, the squad car, because it's a specialized one-to-one car that has to have specialized equipment in. So nobody else drives that car, just Brandon, because there's no cage or anything in the back, it's just for a dog, you know, it's flat in the back, and then you have to have heating and cooling systems in it to protect the dog during hot or cold weather, especially the hot weather. Bailout system, automatic doors that open, those type of things, that all gets very expensive. So that's where the majority of the fundraising really goes to.
So the officer takes the car home,
Yep,
in this case?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, because he can be called upon any
Yes.
time to have the dog, and
Yeah.
the dog lives with him, so.
Yep, he's like he's on cocaine himself when we get home. He's just all over the place. He's crazy. So
Yeah.
Is he inside or outside?
He's a little bit of both. He's mostly inside. I have a dog too, so he does really well with my dog and kids and stuff, but he's still learning boundaries. So sometimes it's like, all right, dude, you just need to go outside for a little bit. So I actually have a kennel in my garage, so it's not really technically outside, but, and then I have like a little kennel downstairs in the basement when it gets too cold. He sleeps in a kennel still just because my kids get up at night and I would hate for something to happen, so we keep him in the kennel at nighttime. But
It's, you know, Brandon's talked a lot here about like socialization and those type of things, and if you think about it, this dog's entire life has either been spent in a kennel, and when he's outside the kennel, he's been working, training. So, everything else is foreign to him, coming into a building, this, you know, even this is foreign to him, you know, cause
like
his entire life has been.
you can tell he's a little stressed out now. I mean, just like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we hanging out here for this
Yeah,
long?
but his entire life has been either training or.
Still a puppy, too.
He's still a puppy,
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you can, at work is actually the most, like, mild he is. When we get home, he's like, all right, I got my vest off, let's go, you know, it's different, so. But yeah, no, we are so fortunate. We had incidences there where people's dogs, bit an instructor in the face, he had ripped part of his lip off. We had another guy, his dog turned on him. Another guy, his hand got bit by his dog and got messed up pretty bad. He had 14 puncture wounds and ripped his hand open. And so there's a few dogs like that there that's like, so we got pretty lucky.
You better behave, so.
We got pretty lucky.
I'm
so.
not worried. After what I used to, when I was on the ambulance, and I was doing reports, Trevor always used to bring Croco around. And he'd throw like the Kong when I was in the office. And then he'd come running and he'd pick it up and he'd put it on his lap. And they could just sit there and look at me. And Trevor's like, I hope he's never got to chase you because he says, you know, that dog likes you too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, we look forward to good things, and like I said, he's still learning and still working, and so there's a lot of work involved, you know, so Brandon's got his hands full.
For
Just
sure.
moved to town,
Yep.
so,
Go back.
yeah, so we're excited for that, and excited to have him on board, so.
Jeremiah mentioned you had in service. He asked how you're doing. So he's doing pretty well. He's around. See him around.
Thanks for bringing him tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yes.
Of course.
Certainly, if you ever have any questions for Brandon, you could reach out, or, you know, he'll be doing presentations, you know, probably later on this summer, and get more introductions to the community. Gotta be a little bit guarded about that, you know, right away, so we don't overload the dog, but, so.
You ready to go, buddy, or what?
He's ready.
It's quite a commitment on your part.
Oh, it is. It is. It's a lot of work. I mean, and I have young children at home too, so it's like having another baby.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't leave me alone at home. He wants me to pet him all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's special. I mean, it'll be cool to see him evolve and continue to get better and so.
All right.
All right.
Let's get back
Any
at
other
it.
questions?
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Take
Appreciate
care.
it.
Thank you.
All right.
See you later.
Beautiful dog.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah. I hate to see him coming after me.
I like when he grows like.
Yeah, he hasn't done that before, so yeah, don't run.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, next item 6, we will be adjourning to closed session under Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent C, for the considering of employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.